700% increase, refugees coming from the most dangerous places in the world, including Yemen, Syria, and your favorite country, Somalia, right?
During a campaign rally in Duluth, Minnesota, tax cheat Donald Trump got his crowd of supporters to boo Ilhan Omar and refugees and blame them for their problems, as opposed to billionaires like Trump that avoid paying taxes. So I'm going to get to this video and debunk the BS within it. First, this is the state of the race right now and why Donald Trump continues to flail. Here is the most recent poll from CNBC. Biden is up nationally by 13 points. A week ago, this same pollster had Biden up by 9 points. So since the debate, Biden has increased his lead, at least in this poll, now leading by 13 points. As you're going to see more polls come out, it's likely going to show a very similar result. Either Biden keeping his massive lead or continuing to grow it, as every single scientific poll out of the debate shows that Joe Biden won that first debate. Now, here is the crowd of supporters in Duluth, Minnesota that Trump spoke to. And now let me get to a clip from this rally where he attacks Ilhan Omar and refugees.
But they pledged a 700% increase in refugees. 700%. Congratulations, Minnesota. Congratulations. Now, and what about Omar, where she gets caught harvesting? What the hell is going on? I hope your U.S. attorney is involved. What is going on with Omar? I've been reading these reports for 2 years about how corrupt and crooked she is. Let's get with it. Let's get with it. I mean, frankly, harvesting's terrible, but it's the least of the things that she has done. How the hell? Then she tells us how to run our country. Can you believe it? How the hell did Minnesota elect her? What the hell is wrong with you people? Right? What the hell happened? These guys in the stand up. Are you a big fan of Omar? I don't think so. Stand up. Look at this guy. It looks like nobody's going to fight him. I don't think you're a big fan of Omar, right? No, she's been crooked for a long time. This is the least of it. It's time. And you know what? AOC also. It's time. It's time. You take a look at what the corruption, the disgusting corruption. 700% increase, refugees coming from the most dangerous places in the world, including Yemen, Syria, and your favorite country, Somalia, right? You love Somalia. This guy loves Somalia. Biden will turn Minnesota into a refugee camp, and he said that. Overwhelming public resources, overcrowding schools, and inundating your hospitals.
It is incredible. It really is incredible to see Donald Trump up there talk about corruption and fearmonger refugees while he dodged taxes for 10 years, only paid $750 in 2017, got a tax refund of $72 million. This is the cheat. This is who is corrupt. Yet no, got to worry about the refugees, people fleeing war-torn countries, fleeing persecution, have no money in their pocket. Yeah, they're the ones you got to worry about. You really have to have something wrong with you to continue to support this lunatic. You just have to. It is unbelievable to me that anybody is still stuck in this mindset. And this is why it is a cult. Because there is no logic to it. It is a cult. You are either a white supremacist or you are in a cult. That's it. One or the other. Completely disgusting person. Completely disgusting. Matt O'Brien here tweets out, demonizing refugees, attacking political opponents based on race, the crowd cheering for those opponents to be locked up. This is fascism. Yes, it is. Now, I'm going to get to some of the claims that Trump made there, including harvesting. I'll tell you what that's about. And the 700% increase in refugees that he's attempting to scare his white supporters with. But first here, just to give you an idea of how much Trump lies, Facebook recently had to remove Trump campaign ads with misleading claims about refugees. He claimed Biden immigration policies risked more COVID-19, as company also blocks ads delegitimizing election results. So this is something now that Facebook is having to regularly do because the Trump campaign is lying all the time in their ads. They're having to pull down these ads. Let's get to some of those claims, though. So this is 2018, 2019, 2020. You see here, this is, annual U.S. refugee admissions ceilings. So under Trump, refugee admissions have dropped considerably. And you see under George Bush and Obama, they were relatively the same. They went up a little bit near the end of Obama's term, and that's because of Syria and a lot of refugees fleeing Syria. But you see here, massive drop under Trump, and this gets to, first, Canada. So Canada, BBC News here, resettled more refugees than any other country in 2018. So Canada accepted just over 28,000 refugees in 2018, with the U.S. coming in second with 22,900. Now, this isn't per capita, as you see. This is just straight numbers. Canada has 1/10 the population as the U.S., yet we took in more refugees. So if you were to multiply what Canada took in to the American population, then the U.S. should have taken in 280,000 refugees. But they took in 22,000. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because, yes, in fact, the one accurate claim Trump did make there was that Biden wants to increase the admissions to 700%. 700% sounds crazy, right? Oh my God. First of all, there's nothing at all wrong with bringing in refugees, people, again, fleeing war, fleeing persecution. But just if you're in the MAGA mindset, 700% increase sounds insane. Well, the reality is that only sets the cap to 125,000. So 125,000, yet if you were to, again, multiply the Canadian rate to what the actual population of the U.S. is, so multiply it by 10, it should be 280,000. So Joe Biden's cap doesn't even reach what Canada accepted in 2018. So 700% increase, while accurate, is nothing insane. Nadler here, Jerry Nadler. Today, Trump officially missed the deadline to set the number of refugees to be admitted in 2021, which will bring our nation's refugee admissions program to a halt. President Trump's lawlessness has eroded America's moral authority and placed thousands of lives in danger. Which, of course, is true. And Ilhan Omar tweeting out here, "This is a life or death matter to millions of children around the world. I know because I was one of them." Of course, Ilhan Omar was a refugee who fled her country and grew up in the U.S. and is now a congresswoman. All the fear-mongering around refugees, it makes no sense. There is no crime around bringing in refugees. The crime in the U.S. right now is right-wing crime, white supremacist crime. That is the actual threat to the country. Yet they have to, the only reason for attacks like this is because of white supremacy. Trump's go-to tactic throughout this campaign and throughout his entire presidency has been white supremacy. Has been to talk to his supporters the only way they understand, and that's in terms of what racist white people fear. Other people coming in from outside our country that don't look like us. That's Trump's entire tactic. That's all that's his go-to tactic. And of course, none of that fear is based in any kind of reality. Now, the Project Veritas stuff, I broke this down in another video earlier this week, so I'm not going to go through that whole thing again. If you look up the Tulsi Gabbard, I think it's called Tulsi Gabbard Smears Ilhan Omar with their right-wing claim, something like that. It was based on this. So this idea of harvesting. So Trump mentioned harvesting in that video. What's harvesting? What he's referring to is ballot harvesting, which is a term that's now essentially been co-opted by the right, but all it is ballot collection. That's the actual term, ballot collection. It means going around and collecting ballots from people who are not able to submit the ballots themselves. So the disabled, the elderly, people go around, collect ballots from the disabled, the elderly, and then submit those ballots. That's all it is. And they have turned this into some kind of fear campaign around mail-in ballots. Because again, Trump knows that more Democrats vote by mail and that he will be absolutely destroyed this election in the popular vote at the very least. And his only hope is to delegitimize mail-in balloting. And he's going to try and claim victory on election day, even though at least half the votes will not have been counted yet, because mail-in ballot votes aren't counted till election day in most states. So he's going to fearmonger the mail-in balloting, attempt to claim victory on election day, even though in the days that follow, you're going to see more and more votes come in for Joe Biden, and is very likely to have a massive lead in the popular vote once all the votes are counted, and very likely as well, based on all the polling, to win the Electoral College easily. But Trump's going to try and steal the election by acting like mail-in balloting is a big fraud. One last thing here. This is in relation to what I was discussing earlier, citing post-election period as possible flashpoint. FBI memo warns of far-right white supremacist violence to come. Notice here how, again, this is Trump's FBI. They're not discussing how, it's the refugees, refugee violence to come. No, because that's ridiculous. The actual violence has come from the right. And Trump's own FBI is warning that there is going to be far-right white supremacist violence during the election and after the election. You got to get this man out. He has to be voted out. I'm going to beat this drum, and you're going to get annoyed with me because I'm going to talk about it so often. But it is the final weeks till the election. It is very important you vote. If you can, vote in person early, wearing a mask, of course, physically distancing. And the reason I say voting in person is best is because that vote will be counted on election day. Now, there are some states where they actually count the mail-in ballots beforehand, but my understanding is most states don't do that and they count the ballots after. So if you're in a state where they don't count the mail-in ballots till after the election, vote in person early if you can. Again, if you feel safe, if you're wearing a mask, if you're physically distancing, because that vote will be counted on election day, and it will the more votes that Biden has on election day, and maybe leading by a big margin, the harder it will be for Trump to try and steal the election. The only hope Trump really has is if he's leading with the same day vote, attempts to claim victory, even though he did not win, and tries to muck up the mail-in ballot counting process. That's the only real hope Trump has. And, apart from that, I'm sure they'll try some other legal stuff. But the reality is Trump is very likely to lose this election if everything is equal, everything is fair. But if he tries to screw the system, then that's where we run into an issue.